the out-of-town policeman told the crowd gathered around the front door of the jail, said, "Go home, forget about it. If you don't, we're going to shoot." And the sheriff came forward and said, "No, no, no, don't shoot. There's women and children out there." So he was a general in charge of all the police officers there. And the Marion police wasn't doing anything to disperse the crowd. They said it wasn't their job because the people were there to get a prisoner out of the county sheriff's deputy, out of his control. And the police said they didn't have nothing to do with it. Can you imagine that? Well,
so they were drawing jurisdictional lines. Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
This is my jurisdiction, this is their jurisdiction, and I'm not crossing over, so it's not my job.
That's it. That's what they said. So they went in. When the sheriff said, "Don't shoot at women and children out there," that seemed to be a signal for them to get a sledgehammer. And 4 big, strong white men began pounding on the door. They pounded on it for an hour or so until their hands were dripping blood, where they had formed blisters, and then the blisters had busted open, and their hands were bloody. And finally, they crumbled all the stone around the iron door and reached in and grabbed that door and pulled it out. And then they had access to the jail. Now, some people said the sheriff had thrown them the keys to the jail. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it was rumored that the sheriff had thrown keys to the people, to the crowd, when he said, "Don't shoot at women and children out there." And so they went into jail and they got Tommy out first. They beat him to death. I could see him from my window upstairs. They were beating him to death. And then instead of taking him up to the tree and hanging him there on the tree, they drug him around in front of the jail out of my eyesight and hung him on the other side of the jail where Abe was incarcerated. Hung him from one of the windows up there. And I imagine Abe was seeing what was going on. And they ran a crowbar through Tommy a couple of times to make sure he was dead. Then they came back in and they got Abe out. When they walked into jail, there was an old black man in there. And Abe had tried to hide somewhere in there, but there was no place to hide. And when they come up to this old black man, one of the mobsters said, "Hell, he ain't the nigger." Said, "This is old man so-and-so. He's a good old nigger." And then they said, "Here he is." They got Abe out and beat him to death. I saw him drag him out of the door and beat him and then drag him past the alleyway. I couldn't see anymore. And they took him up to the county jail, the county courthouse, hung him on the tree. Then they came back and took Tommy down from the jail window and drug him through the streets like a dead horse. And they hung him alongside of Abe. Then they came back and got me. I knew I was it. I just felt it. And the thing of it is, before they got me, and before the lynching started, the sheriff had let somebody come up to see me. He let everybody come in to see me like a curious circus or something. And my mother had tried to come in to see me, and this old black trustee shuffled up to the steps and said, "Man, your mama been here 3 or 4 times trying to see you, and the sheriff won't let her in." And but he was letting other people come in, looking through the bars to see who was in there.
Did these people say anything to you or make any kind of remarks or anything?
No.
They just stared at you
just
like
stared
you were,
at me. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you were some sort of animal or something.
That's right. in a cage.